Hey everyone, and thank you for tuning in again live. Today is Monday, February 17th. It is noon here on the East Coast of the US, and you are watching the Skill Building Monday Drawing Group. I'm your host, Jason Leeser, and welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join in these live streams, real-world events, to share and inspire and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. We beam out nearly every day, and with your help have evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand tattoo and art shows that have all been receiving rave reviews. You can find Reinventing the Tattoo at www.reinventingthetattoo.com, where you can try it out for free. There's no obligation to get a subscription. We have 3 different options for you to try it out. The first option is a sample webinar from the Reinventing the Tattoo Canon, where you get to go through and get a behind the scenes look at what it's like to have a subscription to the Reinventing the Tattoo Canon, which gives you access to all of the chapters, exercises, and all of the other benefits that you get with that subscription. The other option that we have for you to try it out is to get some free advice from Guy Aitchison about your unique goals. Maybe it's something that you might think about working on. Maybe it's something about a direction you're heading. All of that and a lot more, and that's totally free. And the third option for you to try out Reinventing the Tattoo is to take a comprehensive tattoo history course from Jay Brown. This tattoo history course is absolutely fantastic. Fellow tattoo history nerds out there, such as myself, will absolutely love this. It's unbelievably comprehensive. They go into the absolute depths of it, and you will learn an incredible amount about tattooing and the history of tattooing and how we got to be where we are today. We do have a full event schedule with full weekly and special event live stream details, also listed at www.reinventingthetattoo.com. So if you wanted to jump into today's show, it'd be as easy as going to that website, clicking on the events area, pulling up the calendar, and you can see all of the upcoming shows that we have scheduled. While you're there, you also have access to check out the Reinventing 24/7 channel, which has about 13 different episodes playing at any given time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and is accessible on all web-enabled devices. So if you have access to the internet on one of your devices, there's a pretty good chance you can stream whatever you want to stream through the Reinventing 24/7 channel. We also offer a whole host of professional development courses from over 20 world-class tattoo artists. Artists such as Andre Malcolm, BJ Betts, Bob Tyrell, and a whole lot more, all available for purchase at reinventingthetattoo.com. We are also in both of the app stores, the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, as well as our Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel, our Reinventing the Tattoo Roku channel, which is available on all Roku devices, and much like our Reinventing the 24/7 channel, has 12 to 15 different episodes going at any given time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's perfect for streaming in the front of your studio or to put on to entertain your clients while you're tattooing them. You can also find us in all of the major podcast directories such as Apple and Spotify. Or you can do what most people do and just open up your web browser and do a quick search for Reinventing the Tattoo. And you'll find it all, except for the book, which is still currently out of print. So good luck getting your hands on a copy of that. They are pretty expensive if you take a look at them on eBay. I think the cheapest one I saw was $1,200 the other day. But if you really want a hardbound book, by all means, go through, pick it up. I'm sure you can find a used copy somewhere from someone, but it's not going to be cheap. If this is working for you, please let us know in the comments and in the chat, and please tag a friend who loves tattoos. We're always trying to get more people involved and more engagement with this show, so please tag everyone you think that might be interested in tuning in for the show. We have a number of weekly staple shows we always encourage people to tune into. Starting off at 9 a.m., Drawing for Tattooers with James Wisdom, where we get to go through and discuss basic drawing techniques and strategies. Helps us get back to our root of being a fine artist in the tattoo world today. Really helps us really refine some of those skills and gives us stuff to really focus on as we're sketching and as we're drawing. And that's 9 a.m. Drawing for Tattooers with James Wisdom. At noon, you have this show, which is the Skill Building Monday Drawing Group with me, Jason Leeser, where we get to go through and work on different skills that we might use in everyday life being a tattoo artist. Whether that's working with Procreate tips and tricks, maybe that's drawing techniques and strategies, maybe it's discussing different ways that you can go through and market yourself, or convention prep strategies. All of that and a whole lot more, that's all discussed here during the Skill Building Monday Drawing Group. Capping off Monday nights at 9 p.m., we have a subscribers exclusive drawing group with Sandy McAndrew and Guy Aitchison, both of the Reinventing the Tattoo Network. And that takes place every Monday night at 9 p.m. And that is available only for people that have a subscription, whether it's a Reinventing the Tattoo Canon subscription, a Reinventing the Tattoo Evolution subscription, or a Monday night drawing group subscription. You have got to have one of those in order to join the Monday evening drawing groups. I can tell you from firsthand experience, joining those Monday evening drawing groups alone is worth every penny. I've been doing them for about 2 years straight, and you can notice a significant increase in the quality of work that I'm doing now as compared to the stuff that I was doing before I started. And that's extremely evident. So please do not think that, it's going to be wasted. It will push you. It's not easy. It will push you to be a better artist and to be a faster artist and to really commit to your ideas. And that's one of the things that I really loved about it. Just one of the many, many things. Following that, on Wednesdays at noon, we have the Tattoo Now show with Gabe Ripley, where we get to go through and discuss all things business related with the tattoo industry, whether it's marketing and advertising strategies or travel visas, maybe it's streamlining client communication, or maybe it's budgeting or taxes. All of that and a whole lot more, that takes place every Wednesday at noon during the Tattoo Now show with Gabe Ripley. We do have a special event coming up, and that is... Let's see. Oh, nope, not there. Okay. Hell City, May 2nd through 4th in 2025 at the Hyatt Regency downtown. We have the Hell City Tattoo Convention in Columbus, Ohio. And this has got an all-star lineup. It is obviously one of the best shows in the country every year. And this has artists such as Paul Booth and John Clue, Travis Brown, Gifford Kassan, Renee Little, Ron Earhart, Amber Joy, D-Rock, Nick Mitchell, Nico Perez, Pony Lawson will be there, Pepe Carrere, Fast Alley, Ty McEwen, Devin Cooley, Seth Mushrush, and of course, yours truly will all be in attendance doing tattoos live at Hell City, May 2nd through 4th, 2025 in Columbus, Ohio. This is definitely going to be a show you do not want to miss. Go take a look. It is absolutely incredible, and that is the Hell City Tattoo Convention. Would like to go through and take a second to thank some of our sponsors, some of the people that make these shows happen. Starting off with WorldTattooEvents.com, the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. They're constantly keeping everything updated. As we know, tattoo events and conventions are getting rescheduled like crazy, living in this post-pandemic era. So if you want the latest, most up-to-date tattoo event or convention information coming to a city or town near you, or maybe you're planning on taking a vacation, it's typically how I book all of my vacations, take a look at WorldTattooEvents.com and you will not be disappointed. Would also like to thank TattooNow.com, technology for tattooers, the leading edge in professional development, management, and digital tools for tattoo artists of all levels. They're 100% competitive with any type of CRM, mailing list, or scheduling software out there. So if you're really looking for the digital tools that can really help you get more clients through the door, that can really help you streamline your client communication, take a look at tattoonow.com. They have been an industry leader in exactly that for over 20 years. Would also like to thank Guy Aitchison at guyaitchison.com. He is the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo. Go to guyaitchison.com where you can pick up a copy of his Biomech Encyclopedia, some of his tutorial DVDs. I believe he still might have a few custom coil machines for sale, as well as countless fine art paintings and the original and countless fine art prints and the occasional original oil painting, all for sale at guyaitchison.com. Would also like to thank Tattoo Social, the #1 place for like-minded and welcoming community without all the drama and negativity you find on other social media tattoo communities. So if you're really looking for a place that's going to help you grow as a tattoo artist, that's going to really help you, push yourself to be a better artist, that where you can go to get feedback from other people in the industry in a positive and encouraging manner, take a look at tattoos.social. We have combined Fireside Tattoo Network, Reinventing the Tattoo, Paradise Gathering, and a whole lot more all together in one community. You will not be disappointed. I can guarantee you that. Would also like to give a very quick and special shout out to Amy Nichols over at the Apprenticeship Diaries. This is the #1 place where I like to send people that are inquiring about a tattoo apprenticeship, or if they are curious about what an apprenticeship is like or how to get one. It's a podcast. It's free. You can find it in all of the major podcast directories. Go take a look at the Apprenticeship Diaries with Amy Nichols. As always, if you like today's show, please go through, help us get the word out. Feel free to post a comment and, tag people if you want to. If you would like to host a Reinventing the Tattoo event, become a sponsor of our community. Or if you are looking for a fine art or a tattoo critique, you can always email management at reinventingthetattoo.com. And make sure to hit that like and subscribe button at the bottom of the page. That way you can stay up to date with all future episodes here live on the Reinventing the Tattoo Network. And that kind of wraps up today's intro. Wonderful. Let's see if we only got a couple people watching. Today's show is going to be cut rather short. I do have a tattoo appointment. I did have a client hit me up that I haven't gotten to work on in the past few years, just due to travel and life. And they will be in town, so I'm actually taking a little bit of time to go in on my day off. I know no one really likes to work on their days off, but, sometimes, it needs to be done. I'm very excited. Hopefully today we can get this back piece finished up. We started it about 5 years ago. About 5 years ago. And, only got to work on it a few times so far. So hopefully today we can go through, get it all banged out or at least blocked in. And, should be a pretty good time. For anyone that's watching that might be interested, I may run it past my client to see if I might be able to live stream that. I don't know yet. I have not inquired about that, but I might be able to pull that off. So we will see. Stay tuned for that. I did want to go through and discuss. I did have someone reach out to me about scroll work and like ornamental Baroque designs and stuff like that. So I just figured I'd go over how to sketch some of those out and work with those a little bit more, just to help you guys out to see if, anyone's interested in that. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, so scroll work designs are all based on the golden spiral. That's the way I like to think of it. I don't necessarily work off of a golden spiral template for these types of designs, but there are some key factors when drawing them. So just in case anyone's curious, these are all what's known as acanthus scroll designs or acanthus ornamentation or acanthus scrolls, and they're all based off of the acanthus leaf, which stems from Southern Europe, I believe. But they're really, really interesting looking leaves. As they tend to dry up, they curl in these really great spirals, and they just look absolutely fantastic. So the first thing I like to do whenever I'm sketching these, and hopefully you guys can see this all right, is I always kind of start out with a dot, um, just so that I know where my anchor point is for where I really want it to kind of curl around into. From there, I usually just try to draw a circle, and depending on how tight you want the spiral, if I want the spiral to be moving in this direction with the end of it out here, I'll typically start it over here. So I'll take it from here and I'll just kind of bring it up in a nice, loose, light spiral. Once again, hopefully you guys can see this all right. I'm trying to blow it up a little bit more for you. Just keeping it nice and loose and sketchy because we can always refine it later. Right now I'm just kind of working on, the basic direction and angle. And then I'll take the tip of it and I'll bring that back down. Maybe I'll curl this back up a little bit more. I usually like to have a straight line between these two, and I can tell that that's a little off. So I'll bring this up and over a little bit more. That's going to be a lot better. And then we'll just go through and erase this part. I typically don't like to erase whenever I'm sketching. I like to build on what's there, unless, of course, it's like a little guideline. Then I can typically go through and not really feel bad about erasing. So back here at our starting point, we'll make this a little bit wider and we'll really kind of spiral that in. And this starting dot that I drew is going to come in pretty critical as we go through and start to add details and finish some things off. Typically from here, what I like to do is I like to start out maybe down here, once again, trying to keep everything in line, through this center line. So I'll start out here and then just kind of bring a couple of other spirals up this way. Just kind of curved lines, just coming out straight from this baseline that I sketched in. This baseline, once again, is also going to become pretty critical as things move forward. Now, whenever I'm drawing these lines, I always like to draw them in threes. I find 3 is like the perfect number of little leaf parts to come out. Whether that's, 3 pieces over here, or maybe it's 2 pieces here, and then maybe one of these breaks off and curls around a little tighter. So I always like to have 3 parts to each kind of leaf or offshoot. And this I'm actually going to draw in a little bit closer because this is all going to become part of this. And then another way you can do it is to connect all 3 of these so it almost looks like it's graduating. It's like a gradual line that kind of splits off at different parts. And then I'll also do something similar over here. I'm going to start it pretty far back. And we'll do 1, 2, and then maybe one more back here. Now, if this starts to look pretty full on either side, what I'll do is I'll space these out a little bit more and maybe bring it up a little bit higher. So maybe we'll start the first one there, here. And then I can always use the tip as the third. And then that'll give me a nice set of 3. Occasionally I'll bring an extra one down here, just kind of spiraling off of this center line that I sketched out. And then we'll kind of angle this one up in that direction a little bit more. Okay, so I've got some basic fundamentals that I always like to follow whenever I'm drawing scroll designs. Sorry, and I'll turn off my thumbnail. That way we've got a little bit more room to work. The first rule of thumb is watch your spine. And the spine is this first line that we drew that is going to continue throughout the piece. This is going to act like the backbone of our whole scroll design. Okay. Sometimes I will curl this around a little bit more if I really want to give it like a nice 3-dimensional kind of look. You'll see great artists utilize this, like Aaron Delavendova out at Guru Tattoo in San Diego. He's known for doing really great 3D scroll work designs. Same thing with Russ Abbott. Russ actually came up with a whole book on 3D scroll designs, and they're both really informative. And this spinal column for the center line, is going to continue through the whole piece. So I always like to make sure that that is very clearly defined in my sketch. However, in my final drawing, what you'll notice is that there's almost nothing that comes into this final area. And the reason behind that is because this is the connecting portion to everything else. So I'll switch colors and we will start sketching some of the other elements to this. One little part that you may notice in a lot of these scroll designs is you'll notice tiny little offshoots coming out, and you'll see them curl up. And then it's almost like they've got this kind of hunchback look. Sometimes you'll see them with just a single kind of bump at the back. Once again, not touching my spinal line. And then what we would do is we would just connect them. The more these come out from our center point, the more complex the back of that offshoot of the leaf gets. It's just something that I've picked up on and noticed over time. You may start with 1 at first, right? And then that'll graduate to 2. Sometimes for some of the more complex ones, we can even get a little bit crazy with it, and we can come back, maybe create like a little point, and then we can come down. Typically, I try not to do any more than 3 curved bumps on the back of these little offshoots, And I forget the technical name of these offshoots or curls. But I try not to do anything more than like 3 curved lines. And if I do, I usually stagger their size. So I may do a medium one first and then a smaller one. Let me shrink my pencil down a little bit so you guys can see better. And then maybe I'll do a bigger one. Typically speaking, if I'm going to do more than 2, as I had before, maybe I'll give it a little bit of a spike, and then I'll bring it down, and then a down again. There's a lot of different ways you can draw these. Everyone's got a little bit of a different take on it. And that's kind of what makes them nice and unique, is because no one is going to draw them the same way. If we really want to dress these up and we're doing them big enough, what I'll do is I'll come in here and just give these a little bit of a kind of a leaf flip, right? Where you'll actually see this part of the leaf itself. And it does give it a kind of nice little, fancy schmancy kind of ornament. But if you're doing these pretty small, it's definitely not something you're going to want to include because it's going to be too small in the tattoo. So you always kind of have to remember that in the back of your head. For today's purpose, we're just going to keep it kind of simple. And we'll just do another one with 2. Only this one's going to curl in a little bit more. Now this is where stuff can get really, really fun. I'm going to adjust the angle of this one a little bit. And here's why. If we follow this curve here, with this line that I'm drawing in now, it'll really create a nice kind of visual repetition. And then we can always play off of that as well. From here, we can take this back over. Maybe give it a little offshoot or a little flare of the leaf. A little bit of a bump. Come down, another little bump. And we'll bring that in as well. We'll keep the tip nice and thin. Now for the inside, since technically these 3 parts, here, here, and here, are all part of the same leaf coming off of the side, what we're going to want to do is try to bring the opposite side of this part over into this part. And I'll show you how that's done. From there, we're going to take a little bump coming off of this. We're going to bring it down and do almost like a teardrop shape. And then we're going to come back up with another little curved area. Come back up again, and we'll just bring this tip right out. Okay? And then this is going to come in real handy as we're shading everything in, because wherever you have these little teardrop shapes like this, we're going to actually put a line to either side of it that's going to taper in, because that's going to tell us that this little teardrop shape is sitting above everything else, right? So this is going to be in shadow. This will be in shadow. We may get a little bit of a cast shadow here, but it all depends on our light source. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. From here, we would bring this back down. almost in a symmetrical pattern. Maybe keep it a little bit asymmetrical, just a little bit different. And then this would curve up. Up again. Maybe up a third time. Then we can always bring this back down. And as we're bringing this back down, maybe we'll get a little fancy schmancy like we did over here on this side. And we will have this coming down. And again. And then maybe bringing this down as well. Now, where these get really complex, believe it or not, comes in how they get shaded. Over here, we maybe will add a little bit of this teardrop shape here. And then we can use this to kind of delineate this vein. Same thing here and here. We can already start to see it kind of taking shape. And this is just a very, very simple version of one. The more you draw these, the more complex you can make them. One thing I always like to try to remember is that towards the end, right here, we're just going to continue this spiral in. We're going to have two parts to this end shape. We're going to bring one in here to kind of connect to this outer edge. The next one is going to come back and show us the other side of the scroll. Maybe we'll do like a little ghost curl or something like that in the background. But this would all be shaded in, which is basically like a flat shadow. Just one like uniform shade of gray. That way it's really kind of out of focus, but we still get the idea that there's more going on the back side of this leaf. Hopefully this makes sense to everyone. If it doesn't, feel free to type your questions in the chat box. On the opposite side of our central spinal line, maybe we'll bring another little leaf shape up in this direction. Always really trying to maximize the flow and the length of it. All right, starting out with, maybe we'll give this one 3 small little guys. And we'll just make this one a little bit more ornamental. Because we're only seeing part of this on the back side of it. And then this, we would kind of give like a little fold over. From here, we could add another little curl coming down on the back side, connecting to this. Maybe just like one little curl, nothing crazy. Because we can always make it more elaborate later on. Same thing here, we'll give this one little curl. And then we can do another bigger one. Here. Just keeping it nice and loose and nice and sketchy. You can always refine this later on, add more detail, take some detail out if it's looking too complex. Whatever we want to do. But if we don't start off with it nice and sketchy at first, then we run into trouble because now we're trying to force whatever it is we've already spent all that time drawing to work. And that is the last thing we want to do. Sometimes I'll give these acanthus leaves a little fold over and a little curl. Maybe I'll add like a little bit of a curl here, just to kind of show where it's kind of splitting off. Sometimes I'll give it another one back up here. Just to kind of keep that repetition moving. And actually this one would be a little bit further back. Repetition and graduation, making things bigger as they move or smaller as they move, is key in creating something visually striking with a lot of movement. And then we could also bring this. Now, there's different schools of thought when it comes down to drawing acanthus leaves. Sometimes people will keep things a lot less busy and they'll make them longer and they'll make them curl around. That can always be fun. Sometimes you'll have different parts that loop together. Some parts will overlap other parts. If you wanted to make it longer and thinner, that's always a good way to do it. If you wanted to keep it more short and kind of intricate, that's another way to do it. It all kind of depends on what kind of a look you're trying to go for. When it comes down to shading all this stuff in, once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy, but I know it can seem like a daunting task. I really have to watch my time. Okay, cool. All right, so I'll sketch a little bit more on this. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Feel free to drop it in the comment area. If you don't, that's cool too. So if I was going to go through and shade this in, first thing I would want to do is refine it. And let's switch colors. Never really bringing these things quite all the way together to meet at the base of the scroll. Always leaving just that little bit of a hair gap. This way it looks as though it's one continuous piece. And that, I think, is one thing that a lot of people get wrong when drawing scroll designs, is sometimes people will forget that it's all supposed to be one big leaf, right? Which means unless you have like an extreme fold over somewhere, you're never really going to have a hard edge that gets cut off. It's all going to stem from that same central line that we drew before. I always like to finish some of these guys by just drawing some of these and bringing them in. these little foldovers that really show you a perspective. And it really helps you establish a sense of depth as well. That, hey, this part is starting out in front of this central area and then moving behind it. Um, if we were to just simplify this part, we could curl this around. And now where this comes in, even though we've still got the same visual line going, this is telling my brain that this part, and I'll switch colors. It's telling my brain that this part is in front of this part and this part, right? So I've automatically created 3 levels of visual depth just by creating one piece that goes in front of another piece, and then another piece that's behind the other piece, if that makes any sense at all. Sometimes I have a problem explaining things, so if anyone gets confused, please just let me know. Then we'll use that as a center line. This we can bring right back this direction. Maybe we bring another one back this direction. This guy would come down here. This would come down here. Maybe we would have our center line curl in a little bit more over here. So hopefully this helps you guys a little bit with drawing these scroll designs. I'm more than happy to go over this with anyone if they ever have any questions. I derive a lot of what I've learned about these from a lot of homework and a lot of research that I've done over the past years, and a lot of different sources from talking to different people about how do you come up with your compositions in it, why do you draw them the way that you do, and then looking at a lot of different resources that utilize some of the same motifs. So I've got a pretty decent grasp on how to draw these kinds of designs. Well, at least I like to think I do. No, that wouldn't have a fold over because we would give this a fold over. Sometimes for the central line, I'll actually bring this over a little bit. And this will create kind of a rolling effect. Sometimes just adding these little pieces can really make a world of difference as far as the intricacy involved. But once again, it all depends on the size of the design that you're drawing. Yes. Atomic, these would be considered a form of swirling filigree. Filigree by nature, though, typically is more solid black and ornamental. You see that a lot with penmanship and copper plate. So if you have someone that knows how to draw copper plate letters, guys like BJ Betts is notorious for adding like swirls coming off of things, right? And then he'll put like a little edge on the tip of it. And then maybe he'll bring like another one in. Maybe they won't quite connect. One will come down. But filigree typically tends to be a lot more thin. and a lot more ornamental and just like an accent. These swirling leaf designs are going to be a lot more three-dimensional and architectural, if that makes any sense. You see them on different types of Roman columns, Doric and Ionic. You see them in a lot of like fancy architectural museums and hallways. It's a really great way to kind of dress things up with that old world kind of look. These leaf scroll designs tend to be a lot more intricate than a swirling filigree pattern. So it's something that you can use. Say you're drawing, say you have something that someone wants to get done, and exactly, you wanted to put it in like a fancy frame. Well, this is exactly where these types of designs would come in. You can actually compose an entire frame just off of these types of designs, and you can use these types of designs to fit any kind of shape you can imagine. So that's why I really like drawing these. Occasionally, you'll be working at a show and you want to bring a whole bunch of one-shot designs with you. Take those one-shot designs, throw them in a fancy frame, and now you can upcharge because now you have to tattoo the frame and the design, right? But it frames everything out and it looks like a completed piece. Maybe it's not the best if someone wants to develop a whole sleeve, but it's a great one-shot design. If you create a kind of fancy frame out of these types of designs. And that is actually all I was planning on covering today. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask now. I do have a busy day today, so today is going to be cut a little short. Does anyone have any questions? And I'll give you guys a minute to kind of respond to that. No questions? Okay. Well, on that note, thank you guys very much for joining me today. Hope you guys fare well and keep your hands busy. And I will catch everyone next week for episode 186 of Skill Building Monday Drawing Group here live on the Reinventing the Tattoo Network. As always, if anyone has any ideas for shows or anything they'd like me to cover, feel free to shoot me a direct message right up here at Philly Inc. on Instagram. Or you can always email me, Jason at reinventingthetattoo.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as I see the email. Likewise, man. Thank you very much, Atomic. It's a pleasure seeing you, and I will catch you next week. Take care, everyone.